So members of the Board of Trustees, Committee on Academic Affairs, please respond present when you hear your name. Chairperson Jill O'Donnell Tormey.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Henry Berker.
Present.
Trustee Erminia Palacio.
Present.
Trustee Brian Oberfell. I see you, but muted. I gotcha. Trustee Martin Burke.
Present.
Great. Professor Lubia Alatriste may be joining us a little late. Ali Haider Hassan, the student rep, I saw you.
Present.
Welcome back. And Ngozi Okonkwo, the student alternate, I'm not sure will be joining us, but you have a quorum, Jill.
Okay. So this, do I read this next?
I can, or you can, it's up to you.
You can go, Gail.
Sure, I can do it. This public meeting of the Committee on Academic Policy Programs and Research is now called to order pursuant to the New York State Legislature's recent extension of the suspension of required in-person meetings under the Open Meetings Law. This meeting is being held remotely via video conference with access to this public session available live on the CUNY Board of Trustees website. A copy of the calendar and agenda of items is also available online at the CUNY Board of Trustees website, and additional items may be added during the meeting. And as a reminder, please mute so we can ensure that everyone can hear. I will now ask the members of the Chancellery to please respond present when you hear your name. Chancellor Matos Rodriguez, I'm not sure will be joining us. The General Counsel and Senior Vice Chancellor for Legal Affairs, Derek Davis.
Present.
Great. The Executive Vice Chancellor and University Provost, Daniel Lemons.
Present.
Great. President Vincent Boudreau is the COPS liaison.
Present.
Terrific. And President Jennifer Rabb has the item today.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Gail. So we'll now turn to the items requiring a vote. A pretty short agenda, so I think we'll get through this quite quickly. Given that board members are participating remotely and we cannot see everyone on the screen at the same time, I will read the resolutions and ask the members to respond only if you'd like to abstain or oppose an item. Otherwise, your vote will be recorded as a yes vote. If you are voting no or abstaining, please state your name and vote. Additionally, if you wish to second an item or have any questions, please state your name first for the record, and let's try to avoid speaking over one another. Okay, so action items. Action item 1A is the approval of the minutes of the June 7th, 2021 meeting. I move the item. May I have a second?
Burke, second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing or seeing none, we will now vote. Please only respond if you would like to abstain or oppose.
This is Erminia Palacio. I am abstaining since I had not yet joined the Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Hermione.
Got it. Thank you.
Hearing no other abstentions or vetoes, this item is approved. Now we'll go to policy item 1B1, which is a resolution to award an honorary degree from Hunter College to Miss Joan Hanson Grabe. I don't know if it's Grabe or Graby, at the January 2022 commencement. I'll now call on Executive Vice Chancellor and University Provost Dan Lemons to further provide background information on this item. Hi, Dan.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon to everyone. Joan Hanson Grabe has rendered nearly lifelong service to Hunter College and CUNY. Ms. Grabe has been instrumental in transforming the Hunter College School of Nursing and providing support for hundreds of students through her generous endowment with the Grabe Deanship in the School of Nursing, Grabe Nursing Scholarship, and Hunter's Mother's Day Scholarship Fund. She has also demonstrated civic engagement and dedication to her community through her volunteer work, including serving as a member of the Allocations Council and the Campaign Cabinet of the United Way. Ms. Grabe has served on the Hunter College Board of Trustees since 2008 and is a past chair and vice chair of the board, as well as the founding chair of the advisory board to the Hunter College School of Nursing. We're joined today by President Jennifer Rabb to provide more information about this item.
Thank you so much, Provost Lemons, and to the board for considering this. As the resolution states, there really can be no better example of service to an institution than Joan Grabe. Her financial support is really extraordinary, It was her naming a deanship that has allowed us to recruit the first founding dean of the nursing school when it's separated from a school of public health professions. And the support has allowed us to really build an extraordinary school. But her service, her contribution is so much more than financial. This is an alum that we say truly bleeds Hunter purple. And she is constantly creating committees, giving of her time and her service. Most recently, she's chairing our 40 Under 40 award service. She's reading files, she's finding alums, she's leading other conversations. So she sets this incredible example. And what she's done by building this advisory board in nursing is just truly incomparable. She's helped us recruit nursing professionals from around the city and state, as well as other alums and people who care about the profession, which has added to support to our curriculum, to our hiring, and to our alumni, just the sense of connection of our alumni together. So she really exemplifies the Hunter motto of the care of the future is mine. And it would mean, I think, more than anything to her to get an honorary degree from her institution. I do want to also mention she went to Hunter High School and then on to Hunter College. So she truly does bleed Hunter purple, and her commitment is extraordinary. And I hope you will give us this opportunity to honor her in this very important way.
Well, thank you very much, Jennifer. So I will move the item. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Henry. Or is there any discussions? You certainly sounds like a well-deserving person to get this honorary degree. I can't imagine there'd be any dissension on this point. Anything? If not, we will now vote. And again, please only respond if you'd like to abstain or oppose. Hearing none, that item passes. Thanks very much, Jennifer, for that coming up.
Thank you
So
so
now-
much, all of you.
So now on to policy item 1B2. It's a resolution regarding the approval of the actions in the CAPRA dashboard. I'll again go to Dean Lemons. You're muted, Dan.
Routine academic matters, academic policy, that's local, and course inclusions in the university's general education program are presented to the Committee on Academic Policy Programs and Research in summary form. Introduced in October 2019, the CAPRA dashboard makes it possible for trustees to interact with the summary data. A few highlights for this month's dashboard include the classification of 22 new general education courses among colleges, giving students more options to study the physical sciences, mathematics, and humanities. 11 program actions, including the creation of a new certificate in urban experience at the School of Labor and Urban Studies, and the creation of 2 concentrations in earth and environmental sciences at Brooklyn. These concentrations are research in earth and environmental science and urban environmental science, both pretty timely topics, particularly the latter one. 4 new revised undergraduate and graduate policies. And please note that we need to introduce an amendment to the dashboard that was published last week, as the School of Law has retracted the credit, no credit policy change for further review.
Thank you very much. So I will move the item. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion about the CAPRA dashboard?
Provost, the law school action, does that also affect the retroactive for last year, or is it only for prospectively?
Only prospectively.
Thank you.
Anything else from anyone? Okay, if not, we will now vote. Again, only respond if you're abstaining or opposing. Hearing none, that item passes. Now I think Martin would like to have an additional item put on the agenda.
I would like to raise under new business, and thank you, Chair, a question to the Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor. Since the board did pass a policy on mandating student vaccinations towards the end of the last term, and since the October 7th verification deadline is looming this Thursday, might the Provost update the committee about the both process and prospects of the vaccination mandate for this term?
Happy to respond to that. The deadline for submitting applications or uploading documentation, that is, for vaccination completion was September 27th. And that put the deadline for full vaccination at October 7th. So coming up this week. As we have implemented that deadline, there have been a number of exceptions that we've made to it to allow for students who would not jeopardize the campus in terms of our goal to have a fully vaccinated student body on campus by October 8th. But we found a number of ways in which we wanted to accommodate students and their time course to vaccination because it didn't jeopardize that, and it allowed those students to continue to remain enrolled and achieve our goal, which is to get students vaccinated. Our primary goal in this is to, as I said, to have a fully vaccinated student body on campus. And at the same time, a primary goal is to have our students remain enrolled and be able to continue with their courses of study towards graduation. So to give you an example of some of the ways that we are working with that deadline, there are a number of hybrid courses that were scheduled for students in which the only on-person class was the final exam during the final exam period. And what came to the fore as we began to work with this deadline is that there were quite a few classes that were in that category. Those students do not need to come to campus. And so we provided a way for those students, if they seek permission, to complete their vaccination as long as they complete it the last shot 2 weeks before their final exam. They will not be withdrawn from their class and they will be allowed to continue as they are. That's just one example. There were a number, you can imagine, across our campuses and with the implementation, particularly of hybrid courses, that there were a number of ways in which we found it was really the best solution was to provide these pathways for students to complete vaccination rather than to withdraw them immediately on October 8th from their classes. Again, it's consistent with our goal to get them vaccinated and to be able to keep them enrolled in classes. Now, that said, there's no doubt that come October 8th, there will be a number of students who will not be in a category like that, where they will have permission to complete their full vaccination after October 8th, and they will be withdrawn from their classes. To give you an idea, and I think this goes, Trustee Burke, to part of what you would like to hear, is where are we on that? So we're a few days away from October 7, and the categories of students that need to be fully vaccinated, again, are those that have a in-person course that they're taking, which is fully in-person on campus, or a hybrid course in which they meet on campus, no matter what it is, after October 7th. So that the number of students that fit those categories is about 145,000. So it is a significant percentage of the overall enrollment for the fall term, which is around 230,000. So 145,000 students have to show proof of vaccination. And right now we have about, for the combined in-person and hybrid students, about 76 or 77, actually I think it's 77% as of yesterday, have done that. That means we have a number yet that need to do that. In terms of just in-person courses, those are courses where students are meeting on a weekly basis on campus and really don't have the possibility of having it being fully vaccinated after October 7. That's about 65,000 students. Right now, we have about 86 or 87% of those students have successfully uploaded their vaccination documents. We have a few more days for that to happen. Given the trajectory that we're on, it looks to me like we'll probably be around 90 or 90+% of those students, possibly more, because we usually observe that there's a bit of a last minute element to students uploading their documents. Surprise, surprise. So we'll see how that goes, but that's where we are with in-person and with hybrid and in-person, that 145,000 students, which is that combined group. Right now, we're at around 77% of those students. Again, given the trajectory that we're on, suggests that we'll also be probably around 90 or above 90% with those students, or maybe even higher. I spoke with, just by way of comparison, I spoke with Nancy Cantor, who's the chancellor of Rutgers Newark last week, and she said they have managed to get to 95%. So we're hopeful that we'll move close to that. And for those students who don't make it, they will be withdrawn. They'll have an administrative withdrawal from their class for the term. And that's one thing that we have tried to be very clear with students and with faculty and staff, as we really do mean to enforce that, because we're not only concerned about having our campus have fully vaccinated students this term, but going into the winter term and the spring session, students must be fully vaccinated. And so enforcing this now is a way to do that. And I really believe that by enforcing that, we're saving lives. We are helping students to do what they need to do. They're protecting themselves, they're protecting their families and communities, and they're certainly protecting our campus. So does that tell you what you were wanting to hear about, Martin?
It certainly does, Executive Vice Chancellor, and I appreciate very much this being on the record, sharing it with the board, and if possible, given what otherwise may be a crowded agenda for the October 25th meeting of the board, if you were the Chancellor, might provide the entire board a short update at that meeting.
Trustee Burke, absolutely. I was hoping that in the report that I give to the board at that meeting, that I'll be able to do that, because by then, right, we'll have a much better sense of what that window might bring. And there will be we are exploring with state agencies impact on things like financial aid and things like that, the withdrawal. So there might be some things that will be coming up to the board for your authorization, depending on where we end up in those conversations with HESC and some other agencies too. So clearly more to come. We've been just trying very hard to get those students to get vaccinated in the hybrid space. As Provost Lemons mentioned, I mean, some students might really push this until the very end, right? Because if all they have in a hybrid class is an exam or some kind of meeting towards the end, right? As long as they hit the protocol 2 weeks before that, so that might be past October 7th. So we're gonna have some additions there, but again, we've seen that the campuses have remained safe, so we're happy about that, but concerned still about those students who do not take the vaccine because their academic options moving forward in CUNY or elsewhere will be very limited if they don't.
Thank you, Chancellor. Is there any other new business? No, thank you. So with no more items on the
Jill,
agenda.
sorry, just quickly, there's a hand up, Ali Hader.
Oh, I didn't see.
Hi.
Yes, sorry.
I'm
Yes,
sorry. I just wanted to ask something to Provost Lemons. I mean, first, I had one question, but the chancellor just answered it. But I also have a second question to Provost Lemons. So, if a student gets withdrawn right after not submitting their vaccination documents in time, what happens with their tuition? Is there some kind of tuition reimbursement? Is there like partially reimbursement? Like, what happens with the tuition?
We have not made a determination on that. We are actually exploring all the consequences, and we have a couple of suggestions. And some of those things also might require board action. So it might require a recommendation for us to come to the board. So that is something that we are still exploring all the possibilities.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so with no more items on the agenda, I move to adjourn this meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Or no opposition, I'm sure. So thank you all for giving you a lot of time back for the rest of your day. I'm glad this was a short and quick meeting. Good to see you all, even though.
Thank you, Jill.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Gail.